We are back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for what is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are new around here and finding yourself on my channel for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button because I drop an update just like this one around 1 p.m. UK time every single day to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest that's happening within the crypto space, but also the broader markets. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be starting things off with the broader markets. Over the past week, we've looked a lot at the dollar and we've theorized that the dollar is going to roll over. The Dixie is going to roll over, and that's going to be the perfect storm or the perfect conditions to see risk do well, which is also technically signaled. And we've got lots of signals outside of technically, like Stan Druckenmiller moving from Nvidia down to a basket of small cap stocks, i.e. the Russell 2000 or the IWM, which is the ticker for it. But today we have non-farm payroll. Now, this is going to either strengthen or weaken the dollar's case. Now, I think the dollar is on a downward trajectory, whatever the number of this comes out to be, but a lower number is going to see the dollar roll over, which is going to see risk do quite well. So we're going to be talking about that to start the video off, getting the kind of boring macro-y stuff out the way of, and then we're going to be diving into some really interesting things that have came out of Gary Gensler. He appeared, I think it was Fox or CNBC. He appeared on Fox next to Jim Cramer. What a duo, both a couple of clowns. And he said something interesting, or was asked a very interesting question in regards to Cardano, Polkadot, Bonk, ETFs. And we're going to be starting off there. We'll then be driving over to our crypto index funds that are already facilitated by 21 shares, by Bitwise, and of course by Grayscale, and showing you that they look very bullish, which is kind of an indication that the broader space is going up, coupled in with everything else. And then we'll be diving over to a clip when Gary Gensler was in front of Congress and asked about Hillary Clinton's campaign and something that he essentially approved, which was, of course, fraud. And they've now been found and fined, or Hillary Clinton's campaign or Hillary Clinton herself has been fined over this. So Gary Gensler isn't this shiny, really good guy that everybody thinks he is. Actually, he's got a way deeper hidden past, and actually it goes even further back to the sort of 2008 financial crisis, not just 2016. So as always, we have a hell of a lot to get into. Let's dive into it all, and let's start things off with what's taking place today. Also, guys, on the setup, so we have two different places now. This is a little bit more of a relaxed setup, an office that I have. And then, of course, we've got the studio, which we're going to be upgrading, which you've seen over the past couple of days. So let me know which one you like more. We're just kind of transitioning and moving around at the moment, which hence why I'm back in this one. But we will be transitioning over to that one more full time, making some improvements to it, like the sound, for example, so on and so forth, the lighting. And I like that setup a lot more. It's kind of a lot more professional. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think. But today, of course, we've got non-farm payroll. Now, this is expected to come out at 182,000. If this misses, like what we saw, I think on Wednesday with ADPs, yeah, then that's likely going to see weakness in the dollar, which is likely going to propel risk. Now, we've got a broad target for the dollar, and we'll go up to a 2-weekly chart to show you this. And this is ultimately one of the reasons why we're bullish on risk generally, because if the dollar comes down to the lower band of this channel that we've been in since 2008, when we officially entered communist, i.e. government and banking merged. And I want to just spend 1 second on this because I have a lot of questions saying, oh, you don't understand communism and capitalism. What is capitalistic? If you think the West is capitalistic, you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. What is capitalistic in a free market element of a country where the government has a say and taxes every single industry? If you think we live in a capitalistic society, go and try and open up a bank. Go and try and do anything without government approval. And ultimately the government taking, a massive chunk away from you. And don't get me wrong, we're not as bad as many countries in the EU. I've just come back from a number. I was in 3 countries over the past 9 days in the EU. UK is not that bad, but the West is not capitalist. There's nothing capitalistic about a society where the government has a say in literally everything. And that's what's largely wrong, I think, with society. But let's not go political. It's not really political. It's more sort of philosophical, I guess. But dollar coming down to the lower band of this channel, that's just what we mean by when we officially entered communism. It's very high up in Marx's manifesto is central, having a central bank and also a progressive tax system to keep people down. Their idea of equality isn't everybody becoming equally rich. It's everybody becoming equally poor and serfs. This is likely on a downward trajectory that's going to see risk do well. Remember, we know the relationship between risk and the Dixie. When the Dixie's strong, risk isn't. there is still, I think it's $7 trillion or $6.8 trillion in money market funds. Obviously, getting that higher interest rates are set to come down. They're going to flee that and go into the risk asset sector. It's all going to be, it's got a correlation between risk more broadly. If we dive down the smaller time frames, remember David Hunter, who was wrong in 2022 when we were out, but I think ultimately will be right. And got to give him credit for that. This is now, in my opinion, on its way to a downward trajectory. Also, you've got oil and the 2-year yields. There's a lot of things that add up. And when you couple that with technically what we have for Bitcoin and crypto more broadly, it's a beautiful picture that's being painted. Remember, we looked at a short-term potential pattern that looks to be setting up, forming that right shoulder. Likely a run to 91,000 is coming. We can get rid of these now. And we also looked at, we've got a broader trajectory on Bitcoin. That's all signaled and backed up by the dollar. And also really probably the most important one for us is Total 2, which in my opinion, people are very skeptical about this right shoulder forming, this pattern playing out. Now we're getting closer and closer to it. So stick to the plan. Let's now dive over and listen to what Gary Gensler had to say on CNBC, I think, when asked about other altcoin ETFs. He didn't say no. He didn't say yes. Of course, we know an Ethereum ETF is now through the door. More is to come. Let's dive over to that clip, and then we're going to be talking about a little bit, showing you some crypto indexes that look very bullish in regards to crypto products that track multiple cryptos, all pointing in the same direction that Bitcoin is in the same direction the dollar would have us believe risk is going to go, so on and so forth. It's a beautiful picture that we compound, but let's dive into this clip of Gary Gensler. We'll dive over to that, and then we'll talk about how Gary Gensler was kind of put in the hot seat in regards to Congress asking him about the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Okay, now, Polkadot, Cardano, Cosmos, Immutable, Ronin, Bonk, Osmosis, Sushi Swap, my neighbor Alice have all traded millions. I'm talking about millions of dollars this very morning. Now, should we have a Sushi Swap, maybe an ETF, or the proprietary kind? Just I would think that Bonk is a natural, and Osmosis. These are trading Gary, these are millions of dollars. These things are traded. Shouldn't we have it? Shouldn't we have some sort of product?
Let me say something more broadly about the crypto markets. Right now, without prejudging anyone, these tokens, whether they're the ones Jim listed or other tokens, have not given you the disclosures that you not only need to make your investment decisions, but also that are required by the law. It's a basic concept in our securities market. We, the SEC, tomorrow are turning 90. Happy birthday, SEC, 90. And what President Roosevelt did is he created this commission to oversee that you, the investors, get disclosure. And in the crypto markets, they aren't giving you that disclosure. And secondly, that exchanges, like here, this floor of the New York Stock Exchange, get properly regulated to protect against fraud and manipulation, and they don't trade against you. And these crypto exchanges, Jim, are doing things we would never allow this New York Stock Exchange to do. Our laws don't allow you to trade against your customers. And so you've seen the bankruptcies in this space. And there are some of the most leading lights in this field are either in jail, about to go to jail, or waiting extradition.
Okay, well, it's a suboptimal situation for them, but I'm looking at the...
But it's a suboptimal situation for investors. You're investing in a field right now that you're not getting the proper disclosure.
I agree, there's securities for people actually I know. I mean, their names. And there's nothing... You know that, too.
That's funny, yeah.
I mean, some people even in this room have their names attached to a coin for no reason. Makes no sense.
I'm sorry, you guys have coins?
No, we don't.
There's a Kramer coin?
There should be, but there isn't.
Yes, there is a Kramer coin.
I hope it's properly registered.
Well, I wasn't going to bring it up because now it's a pump and dump. Like, wow, Kramer coin. I was not going to bring it up, but there you go.
Chair Gensler, wait. We have only a little bit of time.
The SEC versus Ripple Labs.
Ripple.
Right,
Dave, what do you want to ask?
There you go. I've got the floor.
Thanks.
Notice how he doesn't even want to talk about the Ripple case. I wouldn't if I was him either. But we are going to end up with altcoin ETFs. We've been saying that for a long time. That's of course been signaled by ETH BTC chart for me. You will end up with other altcoin ETFs. Not only do we have Total 2 that is going to see altcoin and the altcoin market. Remember, this tracks everything excluding Bitcoin do very well. We've also got a number of other factors like Bitcoin dominance. We think that's going to roll. We also have our crypto indexes. So this is Grayscale's large cap fund. LLC is the ticker for this one, or GDLC. We've ultimately got this very right thus far. 2 of our targets have been met. We've now got that third sort of more macro one. Bitwise is top 10 crypto index funds. We don't see other people covering or even having looked at these. I don't know if there is anybody else out there that's looked at these and used them as a kind of benchmark for how well crypto is potentially going to do. So it's a very bullish picture wherever you look, okay? And if you have, and I might do a video on that individual that sold based on a gut feeling and kind of saying why we think that's wrong. But, you know, it's up to people in regards to what they do. Ultimately, this channel isn't here to give financial advice. It's here just to sort of give you a perspective, if you will, on the markets and what we think and how we get that thought. But it's a very bullish picture. The last thing I want to kind of do is play a very quick clip of somebody asking Gensler about Hillary's campaign in 2016 and the Steele dossier fund, and then we'll wrap the video up. So let's dive into that before we wrap things up.
Quick last question. I think it might have came up. You were Hillary Clinton's CFO in the campaign, right?
It's part of my history.
Were you? Yes or no?
In 2016.
Did you facilitate the payment for the Steele dossier since you were CFO of the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Sir.
Yes or no?
Sir.
Yes or no?
That was not.
You're under oath, Chairman Gensler. Yes or no?
I know. It was not something I was aware of.
I yield back the rest of my time.
Got him. He knows he's got him. Yes or no? Yes or no, Chair Gensler? I thought that was brilliant. And what is that? Some of you may not be familiar. We also covered something that happened with ADP, which was a huge part, I guess, or a player in the 2008 financial crisis. There's a lot of fraud going on, and you know, there was a crossover with Gensler and Goldman there. But this is the DNC. Clinton campaign agrees to Steele dossier fund find. Let's dive over to the take here. So by intentionally obscuring their payment through Perkins Coie and failing to publicly disclose the true purpose of those payments, the campaign and DNC were able to avoid publicly reporting on their statutory requirement, FEC, disclosure form, and the fact that they were paying Fusion GPS to perform opposition research on Trump with the intention of influencing the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. The initial campaign had read. So there's a whole thing on this. Do go and do your own research. The reason I'm highlighting this is Gary Gensler isn't this kind of outstanding citizen. You know, and he's a hypocrite, I think, at large. And I think that's sad. And I think he's there to stall this industry for special interests of him personally and this space more broadly. But they can't stop what's taking place. They can only postpone it. There is a digital revolution that is taking place. I think there's going to be some pretty grave ramifications of it in regards to freedom and things like that. But there's also going to be some amazing opportunities that come out of it. And that's what we're here to help people realize, but also understand the kind of regressive to freedom in this digital world that we're moving, properties that some of this may have. You know, I want to do a longer video on Bitcoin because I think people are being naive, to be quite honest. I love Bitcoin. I love the principles of it. You know, it's something that's, you know, we can all be very thankful for, but I think there's a bigger planet play here as it relates to Bitcoin. And it's not one that is on the surface. It's not one that all these podcasters and whatever push. It's actually one that I think is potentially got a far more sinister globalist plot behind it. But that's for another video. Ladies and gents, on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Let me know about your thoughts on the studio. Do you prefer this one? Do you prefer the other one? We ultimately are going with the other one, but we'll do some upgrades to it. Yeah, that's it from me, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed presenting it. We'll see what non-farm brings, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next.